Hey guys, it's your girl Boonie, and you're listening to episode 144 of the Boonie Breakdown podcast, your source for all things responsible and ratchet. Welcome to this week's episode, guys. I'm excited for this week's episode because if you had been following the rules and you actually quarantined, you've spent a lot of time in your own house. And that made me do some self-reflection and say, you know what? I actually don't really like my decor. So what did I go do? Let's get an interior designer on here. And I have as our guest this week, Whitney Jones of Whitney J Decor. She's a New Orleans-based interior designer, and she loves to design homes with color, personality, and unexpected elements. You know, I had to get some tips from her. All right, so if you don't know why you should use an interior designer, how you use an interior designer, can I use an interior designer who doesn't live in my city? We answer all of those questions. And if you don't own your home or you're a renter, I ask for questions too of how you can update a space that you don't own. So stick around for that conversation. All right, so let's hop into Boonie's pick of the week. This week, my pick of the week is Disclosure. It is a documentary on Netflix, and it focuses on the transgender community. And I know those aren't topics here that I talk about often on the podcast. And personally, it's because, you know, I feel like I'm still educating myself and I don't want to say anything that is offensive or wrong. And so as I'm still educating, as I encourage you guys to do too, check out Disclosure. And it talks about the transgender community in terms of creatives and their depiction in Hollywood. And it was so many things like that you've seen in pop culture, on movies, TV, film, that you just never registered that the shit was kind of fucked up. And case in point, it was a whole period of the documentary where they talked about how the media influences everyday life and people's views of certain things, which we've said this about many topics, you know. And in this particular thing, it was there's always a cisgender man plays the role of a trans woman in a lot of things in the media, and they never just hire a trans woman. And so it's always some ugly reveal or some way to find out that this person was a man. And then the immediate reaction of the romantic interest is this whole clip of them showing, you know, men vomiting and these images that you've just seen that you never even thought about. And the scene that they showed, that I'm like, shit, I used to love that movie, Ace Ventura. I haven't watched it in quite some time, but I remember when it came out, like, I've seen that movie all the time. And the part when he acknowledges that the person was a woman and all the men vomit. And then they show Ace Ventura in the toilet and with the plunger on his face. And so all these things that were like kind of in plain sight that you just did not know. But it was interesting to hear the responses and reactions from people like Laverne Cox and other actors that we may or may not know who were trans. So if you care, want to know, want to educate yourself some more, I said check it out. It was a very interesting, quick watch. I think it's about 2 hours, but it didn't seem like 2 hours. So check it out on Netflix. All right, let's get into housekeeping. Thank you guys so much for joining last week's Would You Rather Wednesday live on Instagram. We had a good time. I think now I've done enough live videos that they're letting me save them now as IGTVs. So if you missed it, you can go check out the IGTV. Only thing is you don't see the comments that were happening. So it just really looks like I'm rambling, but you can go search through there and see the times that I did go live with people, and we always have a good time. I'm probably going to do one later in July after the season is over. So please be sure to follow us on social, IG at the Boonie Breakdown now, so you don't miss it. Also, feedback from last week's episode with Kelly Augustine. Thank you guys so much for listening. I got one really lovely note. Boonie, thank you so much for this episode. as a budding influencer, it was great to hear you speak with someone of Kelly's caliber. She was so right on the influencer space and how they just look at numbers. It was really affirmative, and I appreciated that. So if you have not, like I said at last week's episode, Kelly is a BFF in my mind. So go back and listen to last week's episode. Also, next week is the season finale of season 7 of the Boonie Breakdown podcast. That's right. One more episode left. I'm really excited for this episode. And I can't wait. So we go on a little hiatus, but I've been trying to prep you guys and plan you guys now. But before we go on this hiatus, I've been trying to do a campaign, as you guys know, to get 100 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. We are 4 away. We're so close. Okay. So I know we can do this. If you can just head on over to the Purple app and leave your review, that would be bomb. We got a good one this past week from She's So Glamorous. And it says, just what my sophista ratchet spirit needs. 5 stars. I love the topics and delivery. Keep breaking it down, boo. So thank you so much to She's So Glamorous. And you can leave your review and you can hear it on a future episode too. So head on over to the Purple app if you listen on an iPhone, iPad, iPod, MacBook, any Apple device. All right. Thank you guys. And also, go ahead. You already followed us on Instagram. You can follow us on Facebook at The Boonie Breakdown. You can follow us on Twitter, just Boonie Breakdown. Share this episode with people you love. Share it with your friends. Put it in your Insta story. Put it on your Facebook. Put it on your Twitter. If you're on TikTok, you can TikTok about it too. But be sure to tag us and use the hashtag The Boonie Breakdown and the hashtag PODIN, PODIN. All right. You guys know I like responding and sharing when you listen. So get to work. You guys know what to do. All right. I think that's it for me. So let's get ready to break it down. All right, guys, it's your girl Boonie, and I'm excited for this episode because I hope that I get some tips out of it myself, and I hope that you guys learn. But I want to welcome Whitney Jones to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited. Very excited.
I'm also jealous because you're in New Orleans.
Girl, don't be jealous.
I am because what is this, 4th of July weekend? Essence usually is happening.
Yep,
Even though I went to Essence for my first time last year, what I didn't like was I wasn't able to enjoy New Orleans like I like because there was so many people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would go back to Essence for that reason.
So if you want to come, don't come for Essence. Don't come for Mardi Gras. Don't come for anything where there's like big events going on. That's when you don't want to come. Because literally when you come down here, while obviously after the pandemic is over, but whenever you come down here, there's always something going on in New Orleans. You can go to a club Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day.
Look, I think New Orleans might be like my favorite U.S. city.
Really? Wow.
I think so.
Wow.
I think the food is dope. It's just like,
food is good.
It has like a very distinct culture, and I
agree with that. I
think that's why it makes it so dope. Like, it's hot as hell, but
one thing I love about being in New Orleans though is it's really, I don't know if a lot of other people can agree with me, but I think that it's really Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much Black culture in New Orleans, and I feel like we really showcase it well.
You do.
Through the art, through the music,
the food, everything.
Like we like Black down here. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
I really, that's one of the things I love about the city. Like, you go out there, you never feel out of place. You know what I'm saying? You go, because I live on the what we call the West Bank of New Orleans. But if you go into like the city part, like, you never feel out of place, especially if you're Black, because you feel like you belong. When you're out there hanging out and all that.
And you guys have one of the best accents in the country.
You think I have an accent?
I don't think yours is as strong as I've heard others.
Yeah.
I hear it on certain words you say.
Yeah. I think
but
probably when I say like baby.
Oh God, I love it. I love it.
got the common stuff, but for the most part, I think, I toned the accent down a little bit.
Yeah. So, all right, that's our ode to New Orleans. I had to do that because I mean, it really is one of my favorite cities. And I'm like, I think, I don't know if I would dip back into international travel very quickly.
Neither.
But
I haven't been out of the country, but I don't think I want to go anytime
Not
soon.
right now.
Yeah.
But when I do start traveling again, it's definitely domestic, and New Orleans is at the top of the list.
Awesome.
All right, so let's get here what we came here to do.
Let's go.
How did you get into design and interior decorating? Like, is that your background, or was it like a passion project that you were like, you know what, I'm good at this?
I'm probably the worst person to interview for stuff like this because I don't always have like the cute little backstory.
Look, we don't need all that. Look.
Because I don't really know how I even jumped in this. Like, I mean, I don't know where the passion came from. I guess I'll say that.
Okay.
I guess I kind of feel like that. I know. So anyway, I'm the oldest of 8 kids. My mom has 8 children. I'm the oldest, and we're super close. And we lived in the projects. We lived in a small little 3-bedroom apartment. Our dad left. We have a relationship with him, but our dad wasn't around when we were younger. So we shared a 3-bedroom apartment, and we had to be very creative. My mom had to be very creative, and it was 6 boys, 2 girls. My sister and I shared a room. So the rest of the boys were up in another room, and so my mom had to get really creative, and my mom's a creative as well, so this was like something I always saw her do. Whenever she gets like bored with something, she'll be rearranging the furniture. She'll be moving our beds around the room. And I know when I was younger, like I didn't really like toys as much. I was more of like a make-believe type of person. So I like dolls sometimes. But for the most part, I used to ask for like new comforters and pillows for my bed.
I love it.
And it never really resonated until like, the last few years when I thought back to those times. But I didn't really like grow up besides those moments I just mentioned, but I didn't really grow up like in the atmosphere where we were building things or doing DIY projects. We didn't do a lot of that when I was growing up, but my dad's a contractor. Okay. So, I think, somewhere in there.
The seeds were there.
Yeah, they were there. So since I think like when I became an adult, I just kind of I was always a creative, not in the sense of like the home world, but I just always felt unfulfilled with my creativity. Okay. And then from kind of watching HGTV with my grandmother and right after Katrina, when you saw so many people here in New Orleans, homes were just destroyed, and you saw so many people in their homes making changes. And I started working at Home Depot right after Katrina. That was my job right after Katrina. And there were so many people that came in their homes and, asked for advice. I sold appliances then. Then I went to Sears and sold appliances there. So I didn't even really
just
get
it aligned.
Yeah. But I didn't get the connection from there to where I'm at now until like a few years ago. It's like, I've always kind of been, it just never, I'm not a very sentimental person, so I don't keep up with like dates and milestones. So sometimes it takes a while for things to click to me, like, oh, you know what? I think I may have had this passion all along.
But I love that because it's funny how sometimes when you look back, the universe just aligned everything. Yeah. And you don't see it until it's like hindsight, right? Yeah. Like, all of this was like building the foundation for me to have this career that I have now. Yeah. But
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say now I just can't imagine doing anything else.
That's dope. I love that actually. That is a story. That is a story. Because I'm like, even the part there, and I'm like, we can jump there now. Like you just mentioned, after Katrina and everyone was trying to rebuild and redecorate and make new spaces. Yeah. I kind of feel like, and not comparing to Katrina, but I felt like that is kind of the pandemic did to me with my home. Like we spent a lot of time within these 4 walls that we pay a lot of money for. Yeah. And it was things that I'm looking like I've been in this space 9 years and it was comfortable. It felt like home. But I was like, now I'm so disgusted. Like I want to change. Like, oh, I hate those light fixtures now. I don't want to look at them. Like, oh, I want to paint this. Oh, I want to, like, it's so many things I want to do.
Yeah.
And so how do you find inspiration for making new spaces, or, rejuvenating a current space that you're in?
I think for me, one of the things that I love about what I do, and just I guess my thought process is that I come from a sense of function first. So I think when clients reach out to me, especially I'm busier than I've ever been in my business right now, and
Awesome.
most clients are coming to me the same way you are. Like, I am so sick of my house. I hate this place. So in a sense, when I first start with a client, in a sense, I'm thinking of function first. So I'm
Okay.
asking them, like, what physically in this space do you not like? Before we start with the colors and the pretty things, like, does the home or does the room function for you well? So I think I'm inspired more by this the layout of the space planning of the room, and just in general the way humans use a space. That's kind of like where my inspiration comes from. Just always having that in the back of my mind, trying to make sure things aren't just cute and pretty. Because you see
Gotcha.
a lot of design, and it's like, yeah, it's cute, but I mean, those chairs or that table is too close to that sofa. There's not enough space to move around, and I kind of like always come to a design with that in the back of my mind. And then next would be just kind of, when I'm thinking about what inspires me in this specific situation, it's just making the biggest transformation that I can. Because
Gotcha.
sometimes clients come and they just want a couple things changed, and I always now I'm telling clients a lot that, the little things aren't going to make a big difference. You know what I'm saying? Especially because they're so dramatic when, like you just said, they're like, I hate it here.
I really, like, every day I look at those light fixtures. I was just upstairs making me something to eat in the kitchen, and I was like, okay, you have to go to, like, just go to Lowe's. And I think,
Oh, girl, you need to let me hook you up.
all right, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Because I also feel like, I think that's the struggle I have and most people have when they're doing spaces. And I feel like people like you who are designers, you really have the eye. Like, one of the works that you shared on your Instagram page that I fucking adore is the teal bathroom that redesign you did at the
Oh,
teal
with the tile.
tile,
Yeah.
and you made the shower and the tub, and I'm like,
Yeah.
when I get a bigger house with a bigger bathroom, this is it. This is it. And so it's like, I can't see that. Like, I couldn't say, like, oh yeah, let's bust this all down and take
Yeah.
this brown tile out. Like, if you would
Yeah.
have showed me that colored tile, I would have been like,
That was my client. That face you just made, that was my client.
but it looks so amazing. And so
Thank you.
it is definitely, I think I'm at the point now too where I'm struggling with, like, I might be here a while, I might be moving. So it's like, do
Yeah.
I want to invest in that, doing this space, or do I want to wait to my next space and really, like, all right, we're going to do this up?
Really, really bang it out,
And that's the thing. And so what do you give tips? First tip for people who are doing this, if they are looking to work with an interior designer, what is the first thing you wish people would have ready before they contact you?
Budget. Budget. Money.
So
Checks.
that can be intimidating. So, like, do they need a lot of money to work with an interior designer, or does it depend on what
You know,
room?
I guess what I should have said instead of money was research. I wish that they had some sense of what this could cost, because lots of clients reach out to me all the time, especially because I'm more of a not online designer, because most of my business is local, but I have a big online presence, you know what I mean, because I've built my business online. So a lot of clients Google and find me that way, so they don't have any expectation about what they don't know what to expect. So a lot of times they get a lot of sticker shock when I'm coming up to them, like, or when they call me about such and such, and I'm like, well, this is how much I charge, and they're like, what? Because, and I always try to I try to present it on my website, like when I blog, because I'm a blogger as well. So when I blog, I try to give some ideas of like costs and what things, so that a lot of times when I'm linking to certain items, I like clients to see that I'm not spending money and not buying like $150 coffee table. Because then if you see that when you see me in my clients' spaces, you see that the coffee tables are $500 or $700 or
Gotcha.
$900. A lot of times you're not going to be surprised when I'm coming to you like we need at least 11, 12, $13,000 at minimum for a living room, just for the basic switch up. Because I always try to tell clients, and this is something that I'm still working on today at this time, um, letting them know that when you hire a professional, you want the best of the best. You don't really want to hire somebody that can get the same things you can get. Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
For that, you can go on my blog. I got tips up and down, left and right on my blog. You can just copy what I have on there. But if you want something unique, you want something that transitions well to the next house, you want something that your guests would be impressed with, you want conversation starters, you have to know that that is an investment, and you gotta be ready to invest.
Invest. And so for when you just said that, like being ready to invest in conversation starters, like do you encourage people, like if I came to you and was like, I have no idea what I want to do in this house, but I got this purple couch with zebra print pillows and this has to be the focal point. Do you like projects like that where you get to build around one thing, or would you prefer a blank canvas with people saying like these are styles that I like?
Yeah. So I gotta say, for me in general, I just like when I'm able to be the most creative. That's my favorite projects. So sometimes that might mean that my client might have something already, and I have to like be creative with. You know what? I'll fix that. I like when I'm able to be the most creative when I can use my design sense, because sometimes I have to be creative when a client already knows exactly what they say. They already say they know exactly what they want. I don't feel as I don't feel as creative when you're giving me all the things you want me to do. Sometimes it might feel like you're being a personal shopper. That's kind of how I used to have a lot of projects back then, where I felt like
Gotcha.
I was just shopping for a client. But it's like where I'm most comfortable and what I enjoy most is when I'm able to, clients reach out to me because they see the way I decorate. They know I love color. They know I just kind of like a sense of boldness in a space, and they expect it. So it's not like they're not coming at me with a whole list of all the things that they want. So I think I enjoy being creative most. So whenever I'm able to flex that, that's what I like most. But I don't mind when clients have one, two, three pieces already. It's only I only have a not a problem, but I only have a sense of hesitancy is when they have three pieces that they want, plus they're gonna tell me, oh, I have this purple sofa with the black and white zebra pillows, like you said, but I want red walls, and I want to make sure I got a shag rug, and I want my curtains to go up here. I want leather curtains, or I want velvet curtains. When they already know, think they know what they want, that's kind of when it's like, you know
It's
what?
hard. It's more of a struggle.
I wouldn't even say a struggle. It's just not that much of a joy for me. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? So it's not a struggle as far as how to do it. It's just more of I guess it's not a struggle as far as being a hard project. It's just not a very fun project.
Yeah, it's like your creativity is limited because
Yeah, yeah. I
they're
want to surprise clients with what I come up with, not have them be like, yeah, that's exactly what I asked you for. You know what I'm saying?
so do you feel like it's good for people if they're researching for a designer to find someone who aligns with their style?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, in a sense, I might resonate with a lot of different styles because I do a lot of different looks. Everything isn't like the same because, like, some designers they have like a niche design where they'll do all just ultra glam spaces, and it's like anybody that loves that, that's the designer that you call because they do that kind of thing. Me, I have a more eclectic style, so a lot of my rooms can translate to different
Mm-hmm.
people who like different things. So I would say just go with who resonates with your sense of what's comfortable for you. Like I do a lot of different things. Some things I don't even post just because I'm trying to like narrow down the type of clients that reach out to me, because I
Okay.
want those kind of clients that, like I'm mentioning right now, I want the kind of clients who like my sense of color and like how I mix elements in a
I
space
mean,
and
I
like,
love it because I feel like that's what I would want out of a designer too.
yeah,
Like, I know in my mind, like, I could probably describe what I want the room to feel like,
yeah.
not per se exactly what I want it to look like.
That's what one of my questions on my questionnaire is. Like, think of what you want your space to feel like and describe that. That's kind of like what I like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell me how you want it to feel, and let me come up with something from there.
Because I remember this is years ago, I had reached out to someone and I felt like they just had their own design aesthetic and
Hmm.
that's all that they did.
Yeah.
Kind of to what you said. So
Hmm.
I'm not a high glam person.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
more of the comfy. I'm learning as I'm saving things on Pinterest and
Yeah.
Instagram for future
Yeah.
use, like
Yeah.
inspiration. I'm more of the like comfy boho
I love that.
farmhouse chic a little bit.
I love that. I love that. I love that style. You know, I love that style, especially if I can bring in a little bit of color. You know, but
Yes.
I like to do a lot of a variation of different things. I don't like ultra modern stuff. I don't like anything that doesn't feel comfy and cozy and comfortable. Um, but I do like to do a variety of different styles. But I do
Yeah.
have the ones where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to take that on. You know what I mean? Because I feel like somebody else might do that better for you than I can, you know, because that's just not like
What you
where I
do.
like to be at, you know.
So if somebody's listening right now and they're like, you know what, Boonie, Whitney, this is great. I love it. But I can't afford a designer. I can't. Do you have like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a budget basic not package because obviously, you got to eat. Your services cost money. But are
No,
there like tips that you could say for people like, all right, you want a quick boost to change your space? This is what I would recommend you do.
so first recommendation would be to take a look at my e-design services, because that is good for people who are on a budget. One of the things that I like to promote is to my clients when they reach out to me and they know they can't afford my full services. Again, some people go on my website, fill out a questionnaire, don't even look at the services page where the prices are like literally listed. Starts that,
People
starts
do
that.
not read
They
anymore,
do not
okay?
read. They just go straight to the questionnaire. Oh, I'm gonna book her and get her to come through my house. And it's like, well, we're not on the same page. But I always tell them, you know, if you want the professional opinion, you want the professional direction, hire me for e-design services. It's way more affordable than having me come in and completely transforming a home. But you still get my design. You still get complete direction. Like with e-design, I find everything for you. I put it together professionally on what I call a design board, the
I
same way
love
as I
it.
would the same way as I would do with my traditional clients. So basically you get everything my traditional clients get, except I don't step into your home. So you
Got
go
it.
and buy all the stuff, you put everything together. Literally, I show you and present to you the way I do with my clients. It's just that we do everything digital. And it's very much affordable for a lot of people. I mean, if you're gonna be spending money and buying stuff anyway, I mean, you can afford e-design. And I work with whatever budget you want me to work with. You know, when you wouldn't really qualify for like a traditional design, I can still work with you with wherever your budget is, you know.
I
But
get
the
it.
next thing would be one of the things that I love to tell people can update a space dramatically is to paint. And people tend to think that if you paint, you have to paint something bold or you have to do an accent wall to make your space feel different. That's completely false. There's so many different neutral, softer, safer colors that will really make your space feel nicer. It feel more put together. And sometimes, like especially when you rent an apartment or when you're just moving into a new home, they have this builder grade beige that's on the wall. No personality there. I have some really cool neutral colors that I like to use. I have to give you a link because I can't remember what the link was to the
Yeah.
blog post. But there's so many colors that I love to use in a space that really, really can make a space feel different and make a space feel fresher. And if you can and do a bold color or do another color, then test your samples on the wall. Don't just look in Home Depot, buy the first color that pops out, or you look at what I'm doing on Instagram and you ask me to paint color and you paint your room that color. You have to be able to test your paint colors on the walls, see them in different lights, see them during the day and at night. Colors change, you have to be comfortable with them 24/7, and then one of the other things that I really love is to change your pillows. Pillows are such a great way to make a sofa that looks old and dreary, makes it just kind of perk up, freshen up, makes it look a little bit newer. So that's like my 2 tips, my 2 basic tips.
I think those are simple
pillows.
enough. Painting pillows.
Painting pillows.
You just mentioned something too that I think is listening. I think listeners might like. You just mentioned people who rent.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times you hear people like, well, I'm just renting this, and they don't see the value in, updating the space.
Right.
But I still think like, even if you're a renter, you should still do some things to make your home feel like you or express you.
So this is, I mean, I lived in an apartment. We just bought our house about 3-4 years. So I'm still pretty much new to home ownership. So I've been living in apartments pretty much all my life, and so I feel like I have a good grasp on like what needs to go in an apartment to make the apartment feel great, like what you need to invest in, what you need to splurge and save in. And a lot of the things that that were in my apartment, I can prove it to you. Everything has come to my house. And you would never know this was something that was in an apartment. The only thing I didn't bring, I brought my sofa over, but I've gotten a bigger sofa since. Bigger sofa since, but like my TV console, I mean, I got that. My mom got that from someone who she used to work for, and I painted it every color under the sun. But it worked perfectly in my apartment, and now it works perfectly in my living room. And my living room is like 3 times bigger than what my apartment living room was. So I think I feel like it's really important if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, I'm never going to promote anybody buying something that you can't afford. There's so many ways to make the space look better and make it a little bit more comfortable without spending so much money. But if you can afford to buy and invest in key pieces, especially if you can hire a professional, this is what we do, especially a designer that has a concentration in space planning. We make sure we get pieces that aren't too big or aren't too small for your living room, for your apartment, and that we know will be able to translate into any house. There is a trick to that. Some items are what I would call normal size. So I know that when you get to a house, it doesn't matter unless you have like 50 foot ceilings. You know what I'm saying? That's not realistic for most of us. But unless you go into a home with like 50 foot ceilings, we know that this media console is going to be able to fit in your neck. You know what I mean? Like, but sometimes, like, my mom just did this recently. I hope she's not going to listen to this. But my mom did this recently where she went in on House, I believe. She bought this like console cabinet, little small cabinet. It was like this faux marble finish, which that is like the worst thing you can do ever. Don't ever buy a faux marble anything. But she bought this like faux marble cabinet to sit in her living room. And I'm telling you, that thing is the smallest cabinet known to man. And I was like, what did you buy this for? She said, well, I thought it was going to be big enough. I'm like, that is a problem. We tend to go, especially with apartments and smaller homes, we tend to think we need to get small
micro furniture,
dollhouse furniture. And that's not the truth. The key is to not pack your space with stuff. You can get stuff that is standard size, regular size, normal size without packing your apartment with stuff. Use items that do double duty. So if your TV console might do double duty where it might hold your blender that you barely use, you know what I mean? If you can put it in there. If you have a cabinet like let's say an armoire that you can use, you might be able to kind of use that in the dining room and house all your sweaters and your jeans that you don't use all the time. Put them at the bottom, and then all your things you need for your dining room can be at the top. I mean,
multi-purpose.
Yeah, that's the key to small spaces and apartments, to have pieces that are multi-purpose opposed to just packing a space with stuff. That's when I think we do it wrong. Definitely want to make sure you invest in the items that will last you a long time and that can translate to your next house.
Awesome.
I'm
I
all
love it.
for investing in the key pieces. So
I love it. What are some of your like top 3 places you like to shop for stuff for your home?
Home Goods for accessories. I always love to shop Home Goods for my accessories. I love Z Gallery for the glam. You know, I think Z Gallery is definitely more than Home Goods for some things, but I know when I'm looking for something like a key piece, I know I can go to Z Gallery for certain things. Like I
Gotcha.
know when I want a Mongolian fur pillow, they're always going to have them there. When I want a nice, beautiful velvet pillow in different colors, I know they're going to have them there. Home Goods is kind of hit or miss. You don't know what you're going to find when you get there. But I know Home Goods will. Z Gallery won't let me down with the things that I like the most. And another place that I like to shop, that I've been buying things from recently a lot, is Macy's for bedding. Macy's has beautiful bedding. They have gorgeous comforters. So that's kind of been my little like secret weapon.
Like
Especially
it.
for my e-designs. I've been sending all my clients that have been getting bedrooms, I've been finding comforters off of Macy's website. So there it is. Everything else usually is to the trade items. I don't do a lot of retail shopping
Gotcha.
anymore. So yeah. And I also shop my own shop. I don't have a ton of things right now, but I do use a lot of my planters. But yeah, for retail, I would say Z Gallery, Home Goods, and Macy's for the bedding.
And because you said it, I feel like in quarantine and during this pandemic, everyone and their mother has become plant
Hey,
mothers.
mom.
Even my own mama. I was at her house the other day and I looked, she got 20 plants. Ain't never had a plant. And now she got 20 plants.
See, that's why I went to my vendor. I said, I need all the pots. Let me add them to my shop now. People love plants. Let me add them to my shop.
Plants have definitely, I feel like, have had a resurgence
Yeah,
during
for
this
sure.
time.
Yep.
But that seems to be another affordable way to change your space.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's true. Plants definitely can give you a fresh feeling, a fresh look. You know, they bring texture, they bring color, they bring height, they bring, lots of different variety in what you can get in a plant. And especially if you do a grouping of them, they bring so much to a space. I do love plants. I can't keep them alive in my house. I have no natural light here, but my studio I've been, collecting them for my studio. So
nice. All right. I think our last thing before we start to wrap up. How can people I think the biggest thing for me is kind of as I'm looking at spaces and if I'm going to change my space soon, what areas, if someone is to hire, let's say they hire you for your services, what areas would you say people start with to make their home feel more like a sanctuary versus just some four walls around them?
So I start in the space you spend the most time in.
Okay.
So for me, that's my bathroom, and I have neglected it for long enough, but it's the next room I'm going to do. But I do like to tell clients to start in the bathroom, start in the space they spend the most time in. And I know we all spend a lot of time in the bathroom because we like, you know, we shower, we take baths, we brush our teeth, we put on our makeup, all that stuff. But I literally like sit in the bathroom. Like that's like where I chill at, in
Look,
the
that
bathroom.
is why my next house must have a bigger bathroom because
Yeah,
I
I
would
have a
spend way more time in mine if it was bigger.
See, I have a tiny bathroom, but it's something that brings me comfort. Like, the because it's so closed in, I just when I get my anxiety, I like let me sit in the bathroom and hang out in here
Look,
for
I'm about to share
hours.
something that this is like my real friends in real life know this about me. It's a spot in my house that I will sit for hours and it's the most random spot ever. But it's the staircase that goes up to my bedroom floor.
Uh-huh.
And the top step, I will sit there
Just chill.
for hours, like in the dark. Like it doesn't matter. I'm sitting there on my phone. I'll be talking, but I'm surfing the internet. But I will sit there, and I feel like if my bathroom or my closet were bigger,
You would do that
that's
thing.
where I would do that.
See, that's me in my bathroom, but my bathroom's tiny. So start in a room that you spend the most time in. If that's your bedroom, do your bedroom first. If that's your living room, do your living room first. People tend to want to do the room that people are going to see first. And it's like, why are we decorating our homes for everybody else? Like, the whole point to do it for yourself.
You just called me out because I feel like that's where I am. I spent, and not like I do have people over, not right now, but I did like my main living floor. Like I feel like that is the most complete space in my house. And when I walk in, like I'm like, yes, I feel like it took me a while. It took me years, and it's not even that it's that bomb, but it's just like to find a rug must have taken me like 2 years. But I finally found one that I liked, and I'm like, this is perfect. So when people come down here, they're like, oh my God, it's so like, yes. And now I'm in this part where I would need services as I'm looking at you, is my bedroom, because I do spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, this ain't it no more. Like it's pieces in my bedroom that I like and can stay. It's like, yeah, it's time for a new look there. So, but
if I pan this computer around into my bedroom, because I told you I was this is like this little box right here is like the cleanest, most nice spot, and this is just a beige, and this isn't beige. This is like a taupey gray wall. This is the best looking spot in my bedroom. Everything else is a hot ass mess.
Yeah, it's like things I like in my bedroom. I'm like, yeah, I really
see. I don't have anything in here I like except the floors. My wood floors.
It's definitely things I'm ready to
get that
refresh.
bedroom, girl.
Yes, I think that's where I am, and I laugh because I was just really excited to talk to you, because I just really I blame all of this on COVID, because if I wasn't sitting in this house this much, I don't even think I would care still. Like it's just like, okay, my main level is done, and that's all I need to worry about. So
you know what? Real quick, I know you got to move on, but you know how the hotel stay, how when you stay in a hotel, that feeling you get when you see your bed made all nice and you know you got a clean nightstand. That's kind of what I want to feel when I come in my bedroom and when I wake up in the morning. Like, so I always think that when I'm trying to think, like today when I went and we went and got our furniture today, I was like, oh my gosh, so much money. But I'm like, you know what though? In the morning when I wake up, I'm gonna be like, baby, this is a gorgeous, you know, bedroom, and that's a good feeling. I felt like that when I did my living room, you know.
And I think that's where I'm struggling, because like even trying to find a bed, like I have a mattress. The mattress is sitting and waiting for a bed. But I'm struggling because I'm like, okay, I want a platform wood bed against a hunter green wall. I can see it. And then the flip side, then I'll go see a bed and be like, well, this tufted orange bed, this looks so good. And so I think I need to really sit. That's going to be my assignment. I'm going to sit in my room and be like, what do I really want to feel when I'm in
what
here?
What do you want to feel? That's the best way.
I'm going to work on that before I do your questionnaire. Okay. What do I want to feel when I'm in my bedroom?
Yeah. And you know what? When I used to do I will continue to do them, but when I was doing my decorating workshops online, one of the lessons that I did with the members was to ask them that question. And then basically I explained to them the reason why you ask yourself that question, the reason why you write it down and you narrow down a lot of things, like what works for you in the space, what doesn't work for you, like what do you need, what don't you need, stuff like that, is because when you get into these stores, when you're online shopping and you say something like, I want my space to feel calm, I want it to feel, like my sanctuary, a place where I can relax. And when you get on, Johnson Main's website,
you on Wayfair, like, oh, look at that bed.
Look at that orange bed. You're going to be like, well, that's not going to really be calming. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because people tend to be like, well, it's still going to calm me. No, a big bold color. There's, your creativity is moving around. Your brain is working. Like, that's just kind of how color works. That's the whole purpose of color psychology, So definitely think about what you want to feel, how you want the space to make you feel, so that you can kind of have that in the back of your mind when you're making these individual choices and pieces,
I think that is bomb advice to stop with. So, all right. So now we're at the part where we do the breakdown. So I am going to say one word.
Okay.
And you can say the first thing that comes to mind. It could be a phrase, a word, a sound, whatever.
All right. I always suck at these, so let's go.
Wallpaper.
Amazing.
Black.
Amazing.
Target.
My fave.
Bathrooms.
Ooh, my chill zone.
Look, I didn't even know that. I had that written down. I didn't even know.
That's funny.
Art.
A must-have.
Rugs.
So comfy.
Why are they so expensive though?
Right.
I think that was like a shocker to me. Like when I really was looking, my taste, I'm like, this rug is $720. Like, are you insane?
And let me tell you something real quickly. That is not expensive for what
it's not.
For what you know what I mean? Like that's a good price for a decent rug because the cheap stuff is really the cheap stuff. You know what I mean?
And I think I was floored by that. I did not know until I was researching that. In my mind, I'm like, 700 is so expensive, and I'm like, oh, and that's only for the 3x2. Like, okay.
Rugs are definitely a budget buster.
They are. Oh, but they just they bring it together somehow. Okay.
For sure.
New Orleans.
The best place on earth.
Last one. Knickknacks.
What brings the room together?
Do you feel like people can have too many knickknacks?
I think that depends on the person. Some people don't need a lot, and I definitely try to change the way I decorate for every single client. For me, I think I like a lot of knickknacks, but I don't like clutter, and I don't like things to look messy or thrown together or thrifty. Even though I like a good thrift, I don't like my space to look thrifty. But some people, they like a more minimalist approach. They take a more minimalist approach to decor and their lifestyle in general. So I think too many knickknacks could be too much for them. So I'm a little bit, I vary depending on what I'm doing and who I'm working with.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're
if
welcome.
you could tell everyone where they can find you on social media, you can put your website, you can plug anything you want to plug right now.
So I'm at Whitney J Decor everywhere online. I'm everywhere you want to be. The only place I'm not online on is TikTok. I've been doing this for a while.
Oh, I'm not on TikTok either.
I haven't gotten on TikTok yet because I don't even know what I'll do there. But everywhere you want to find me is Whitney J Decor. You can even Google me and you'll see me pop up on the first page. I'm everywhere. And you can visit my blog for design tips, lots of reveals, whitneyjdecor.com/blog, or just go to whitneyjdecor.com. You'll be redirected to wherever you want to go. I have so much stuff going on there. I do decorating workshops once or twice a year, depending on how I'm feeling. So keep in touch with me for that. I have an online shop where you can buy planters. I have tons of them right now. Pillows. I've been selling pillows for a long time, so I have pillows available. Lots of things. So check it out. What else? I think that's everything.
All right.
I mean, if you're looking for anything, just look for Whitney J Decor. I'm pretty sure you'll find some kind of way I can help you.
Look, she's made it so simple for you guys, and to make it even simpler, I'm going to link it all in the show notes and on the booniebreakdown.com. So thank you so much, Whitney.
You're welcome. You're welcome. This is fun.
All right. Thank you to our guest, Whitney, for coming on the podcast. Guys, be sure to follow her. Check out her Instagram page. Check out her website. Check out her shop. Be sure to support in any way that you can. And I hope that you got inspired to create your home into your own personal sanctuary. And if you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or any app that you listen to your favorites on. Don't forget to leave those reviews too. All right, you got 2 more weeks for 4 more reviews. All right, you can hear your review on the next episode. Follow us on all social media. Share the episode with those you love, those you don't love, those you fucking hate. I don't make these pretty images for nothing, okay? Have a dope ass week. Stay safe, healthy, and sane. Thank you for listening. And remember, the ratchet in me always honors the ratchet in you. Until next time.